My friends think I'm trying to break into their houses, but I'm the one who can't get out. The last time I saw my own face was 3 weeks ago. I mean, I see it every day. I shave in front of the bathroom vanity. I catch my reflection in shop windows. But it's not my face. Not anymore. The real one is trapped somewhere else, and its replacement is wearing my skin. It started with the mirror. I found it tucked away in the back of a dusty antique shop, smelling of rain and old secrets. The frame was a heavy, dark wood I didn't recognize, carved with what looked like knotted roots. The owner, a man with cataracts like clouded marbles, said it came from an old mariner's estate. I figured it would look good on the big, empty wall in my bedroom. It felt like an anchor for the room. The first night, I noticed it, just a flicker. I was walking out of my bedroom, and in the dark glass, my reflection's head turned a split second too slow. I stopped, turned back. My reflection turned with me, perfectly synced. I chalked it up to a trick of the light, the way old, imperfect glass can warp things. I even smiled at myself, remembering how I used to make faces in funhouse mirrors as a kid. My reflection smiled back, but the smile didn't quite reach its eyes. A few days passed. Nothing. The mirror was just a piece of furniture. And then, one afternoon, I was walking down the hall toward my room, and I saw myself standing there in the reflection, watching the empty doorway I was about to walk through. My heart hammered against my ribs. I wasn't even in the room yet. The angle was impossible. I backed away slowly, my eyes locked on the figure in the glass that wore my clothes, my hair, my face. It didn't move. It just stood there, waiting for me. I started avoiding it after that. I'd walk on the far side of the hallway. I'd change my clothes with my back to it, but I could feel its attention. It was like a constant low hum of static in the back of my mind, a constant awareness of being watched. One morning, getting ready for work, I made the mistake of looking too long. I don't know why. It felt like leaning over a cliff edge, a strange magnetic pull, and I saw it. The whites of my reflection's eyes, the sclera, were unnaturally bright. A perfect, sterile, porcelain white like a doll's eyes. And they were fixed on me with an intensity that felt less like seeing and more like consuming. I felt a cold dread wash over me, and I ripped my gaze away, my breath catching in my throat. I was late for work that day, my hands shaking so bad I could barely get my key in the ignition. When I finally got to the office, my coworker Ren caught me by the coffee machine. He had this weird, pinched look on his face. "Hey Leaf," he said, his voice low. "You feeling okay? I saw you in the men's room when I came in this morning. You were just standing at the sink, staring at your reflection. I said your name like 3 times, man. He didn't even blink. It was kinda creepy." My blood turned to ice water. "Ren, I just got here. I was at home 20 minutes ago." He just stared at me, his confusion turning into concern. I spent the rest of the day in a fog, jumping at every shadow. That night, the call started. My phone woke me from a shallow, restless sleep. It was vibrating against my nightstand, a furious, insistent buzz. 3:47 a.m. My friend Anja. I had 6 missed calls from her. My thumb fumbled as I answered the 7th. "Leaf? Oh my God, Leaf, is that you?" Her voice was a ragged whisper, tight with panic. "Anja, what's wrong?" "It's almost 4 in the morning. What are you doing here?" she hissed. "This isn't funny. Get down from there. What are you talking about?" "I'm in bed. You're 60 miles away." "No, you're not," she sobbed, and I could hear the sound of a window lock clicking shut. "You're outside. You're on my fire escape." "Leaf, I'm on the 4th floor." "How are you doing that? Your face, oh God, you're just smiling at me." "Stop smiling." The line went dead. I called her back, again and again. It went straight to voicemail every time. I was frantic, my mind racing. Just then, a flicker of movement in my doorway. I froze, my phone still pressed to my ear. A silhouette, a person-shaped hole in the dim light from the hall. It stood perfectly still for a long, silent moment. It didn't breathe. Then, it didn't walk away. It folded, collapsing in on itself and flowing down the wall like ink, disappearing into the dark. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every few minutes, a soft, gentle tapping would start. 3 little knocks. From the mirror. I lay with my back to it, rigid, staring at the wall until the sun came up, feeling its cold gaze on my spine. The next morning, my phone was a minefield of notifications. Anja still hadn't replied, but dozens of other people had. Friends, family, people I hadn't spoken to in years, all from different cities, different states. My brother from Portland. What the hell was that last night? You scared Elspeth half to death, just standing in the yard staring at her window. An old college friend from 2 towns over, dude. Not cool. I have a video of you trying my back door at 2 a.m. You owe me an explanation. On and on it went. A chorus of confusion and fear, all centered on me. It was impossible. I couldn't have been in all those places. Then, one of my friends sent the proof. A video file. It was from her security camera. The timestamp showed 3:15 a.m., and there, pressed against the glass of her front door, was my face. The motion-activated light bleached my skin, and the whites of my eyes were a stark, horrifying white. An awful, stretched grin was plastered on my face, a rictus of pure malice. I just stood there staring into the camera. Then, at the end of the clip, I didn't walk away. I turned and walked straight through the solid wood of her neighbor's garage door and vanished. I spent the weekend in a waking nightmare, desperately trying to explain, to apologize, to make them understand. I created a group chat and forwarded all the messages, trying to prove my innocence through sheer impossibility. Some believed me. Others just blocked my number. By Sunday night, I was exhausted and alone. There was only one thing left to do. I pulled the heavy quilt my grandmother had made from the top of my closet, the one I never used, and I threw it over the mirror. I tucked the edges in tight behind the frame, smothering it, blinding it, until the entire thing was a block of muted floral patterns against the wall. And for 3 days, there was silence. No calls, no texts, no reports of my spectral twin terrorizing the people I cared about. The quiet was a relief so profound it almost hurt. I thought, maybe it was over. Last night, I almost made it through the night. I was deep in the first real sleep I'd had in a week when a sound from the corner of my room ripped me awake. A soft thump, followed by the whisper of heavy fabric slithering down a wall. My heart seized. I sat bolt upright in bed, my eyes locked on the corner. The quilt was in a heap on the floor. The mirror was bare, and in its dark waiting surface, my reflection stared back. Its eyes were twitching erratically, and that impossible, razor-thin grin was splitting its face. But I wasn't smiling. I was paralyzed with fear. A sharp chime cut through the silence. My doorbell. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A motion alert. I snatched it up, my hand shaking, and there, on the screen, was my own face, warped by the fisheye lens of the camera, staring, waiting. That grin. I didn't move. Then the ringing started again, faster this time, a frantic, hammering peal that vibrated through the floor. I looked from my phone to the hallway door, and the shadow was there again. A featureless silhouette, darker than the dark, blocking the way out. The moment I saw it, the doorbell stopped. The silence crashed back in, heavier than before. Then came the knocking, soft, rhythmic, from the mirror, right behind me. I turned my head, slow, mechanical. My reflection was waiting. Its grin was wider now, its doll eyes bulging. It was pressed against the glass, posed like a sprinter ready to burst from the blocks. That wasn't me. It was a parasite wearing my face. Rage, pure and hot, burned through the fear. I grabbed the heavy lamp from my nightstand, the base a solid piece of steel, cold and final in my fist. As my fingers tightened, the shadow in the hall uncoiled, surging toward me not like a man, but like a wave of black water. I had no time. I spun, roaring, and hurled the lamp with every ounce of strength I had at the grinning thing in the mirror. The sound wasn't just glass breaking, it was a scream, a deep, resonant shriek of something vital tearing apart. The mirror didn't shatter, it detonated. A concussive blast of force and glittering dust blew outward, slamming me back against the bed. 1,000 tiny needles of ice and fire dug into my skin, my arms, my face. The shriek died, replaced by a shrill ringing in my ears. I lay there gasping, the taste of blood and ozone in my mouth. My room was destroyed, a sparkling carpet of razor-sharp glass covering everything. The wall where the mirror had hung was empty. The shadow in the hall was gone. It was over. It had to be. The adrenaline faded, leaving only a deep, throbbing ache. My arms were laced with dozens of bleeding cuts. A long, wicked shard of glass was embedded in my forearm. I wrapped it numbly in a towel, grabbed my keys, and drove myself to the emergency room. Hours later, stitched and bandaged, I came home. I couldn't face my bedroom. I locked the door, collapsed on the living room couch, and let the painkillers drag me under. I was safe. I was finally safe. I don't know how long I slept. But I woke with a jolt, pulled from the depths by that old, familiar feeling. The feeling of being watched. My eyelids were heavy, my body screaming for rest. But I forced them open. The apartment was dark and still. I was alone. I sighed, letting my head fall back against the cushion, ready to drift off again. My eyes fell on the television screen across the room. It was off, a black, glossy rectangle reflecting the dim moonlight from the window. And in that reflection, for just one heartbeat, the man on the couch stared back at me with perfect, porcelain-white eyes. He smiled, and then he winked.